Hello, good morning. I am on here this morning to talk about the approach to practicing music that I use. I woke up this morning just feeling like I gotta share this. It's so good. So I had a music therapist friend reach out to me a couple weeks ago saying, "Hey, I really want to um, practice piano. Like I use piano, but I want to like get better at it, and I'm wondering if you can teach me." And I was like, "Oh, I haven't taught piano or guitar or anything in a long time. Like not since I was really studying music at university, and then went and studied music therapy, and working as a music therapist became my focus. But I've been practicing all these years and refining my approach to practice because something that I found, especially when I was in university, but through my whole life, it's like, oh, I'm like practicing anxiety and I'm practicing self doubt and self hatred and all of that. And like, yeah, I have these moments where I'm free from that and I'm in love and I'm flowing and I'm like getting better and all this stuff. But that anxiousness of like, am I practicing the right things? Oh, I suck at this. All that kind of stuff was often very present in my practicing. Um, and so then my practice would be like it would happen in fits and starts. So I've really worked on developing an approach for me that like ensures that I'm getting better objectively, but also not but and uh, like supports the inner conditions that drew me to wanting to get better in the first place, of like um, joy and immersion and um, uh, being able to follow my taste and follow my desire and like go into the stuff that's lighting me up that I'm hearing or thinking about or whatever it is. Um, so I'm going to lay it out here just to talk about. I haven't done one of these Facebook live streams in a long time, and there's an edginess about them, especially because I have a little commitment to myself not to prepare too much. Um, because in my experience of doing these in the past, when I was really prepared, then I was pretty stiff, just like presenting it, and it wasn't that fun for me. So doing it in an improvised way felt more alive, more fun, uh, more like aligned with how I want to be engaging. All right. So the really this video is just like talking it out because that's where the energy is. That's where the impulse is this morning. Maybe I'll make a prezi about this at some point or something because that's sort of how it works. It's like there's these different categories. I don't know if prezi is still a thing even. That's going back like, I don't know, gosh, 15 years maybe when I was in university. And prezi, I'll talk about it as if it still exists. So it's this thing where there's like a bunch of different categories or something. Like it's uh, like a PowerPoint presentation, but then when you click on one, it zooms into it. Super cool. I hope that Prezi still exists because it's how my mind works when I organize things. Um, so the different uh, categories of practice are technique, theory, new songs, songs that I already know, improv techniques, ear training. And you could add more, whatever these over like, all the years that I've been doing this, these are the categories where it's like everything musical that I'm interested on a specific instrument fits into these categories. So we click on technique, we go in there, and that's like instrument specific technique. So on guitar, let's say, depending where I'm at, it could be like, you know, how am I holding my pick? How to put my fingers? That's like real beginner. Like that, no matter where you're at, there's always technique that you can practice. Um, so, uh, for me on guitar, it's like I'm practicing scales, I'm practicing arpeggios. I've got my metronome. I'm practicing them at a certain beats per minute. I'm practicing doing them in different rhythms. I'm practicing doing them in different groupings. Like I'm going to go 3 notes up and then back 1 and 3 notes up, that kind of thing. And I'm practicing it half speed, double speed, that kind of thing. So within each of these, there's a whole world to explore. And then on, theory, for me right now, the theory that I'm working on is I'm taking scales that are used in different places around the world, and I'm like, what chords can be made with these scales? Yeah, what kind of sounds can I make using this different sort of scale? What kind of licks and lines and things are available to me with this kind of scale? So I'm just like exploring new terrain, new harmony. And again, depending where you're at, that could be, the theory could be like learning what notes look like on a page of music. It could be learning how chords are built, and how that relates to a scale. So again, wherever you're at. New pieces is like whatever I'm drawn to. Right now on guitar, I've been learning Salisbury Hill, like the Peter Gabriel. All right. No, where is it? I haven't practiced it in a couple days. Yeah. So it's like it's in 7/4. It's got this steady thumb thing, and there's this finger picking over top of it. It's like that's in my new pieces that I'm learning section, because I'm always learning songs, but this one is taking me some work. So I've got it in that place. Um, and then the next Prezi thing is learned songs that I already know, that I'm already good at, but now I'm like really working on like the performance values of them and stuff like that. So I'm working on the subtlety, the dynamics, the like I've experienced this as, there's learning it, and then there's, okay, now I really know it, and now I'm gonna like really bring myself inside of this. So I'm recording it and I'm listening back and I'm like, does this sound totally professional? No? What is it about it? Oh, my rhythm's a little bit like stilted. Okay, how do I work on getting that a little more fluid? And it might be that I have to go back and work on some technique. So then I zoom back into technique. So that's my learned pieces. The other thing about learned pieces is like oftentimes when people are learning to play, that's the only thing they want to practice. I want to practice what I already know because I feel good when I'm playing that. The rest of the time, I hate myself. And they're usually not conscious of those thoughts, but you can see it in their body language and their resistance, and it's not fun. So, learned pieces are, it can be that time to like enjoy. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. Ultimately, my my experience with this approach and my hope for other people with this approach is that you're enjoying all of it, because even the parts that are a grind, and it might be a grind like the learning of new pieces where you're just like, oh my god, I suck at this, for that 15-minute chunk. And this is the other part that's really important about this approach that I haven't mentioned yet, is set timers. Like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different categories, and I'm going to practice for an hour today. Okay, I'm going to do 15 minutes each in 4 of my categories. Tomorrow, I'm going to do, 20 minutes each in 3 of my categories, and I'm going to do the 2 categories that I didn't do this time. So, and it could be today I'm practicing for 15 minutes, and I'm doing 1 of my categories, and I'm not practicing again until Wednesday, and I'm going to do a different category to make sure that I'm actually becoming a well-rounded musician. All the categories support each other. You get better at one, and it makes you better at the other ones. So, and the reason that I think the timer is so important is that for me, it cuts me off from the ups and downs of like, oh, I'm doing awesome at this. Oh my God, I'm awesome. I'm just going to keep going. My timer's gone off. I don't care. I'm going to keep going. Um, that's the up. And then the flip side of that, which always comes if that, fantasy starts getting going, is the, oh my God, I suck. Da, da, da. I got to keep going because I'm just terrible, blah, blah, blah. I worked on this for an hour and I just was in like frustrated pain the whole time, which, like, walk around any university, that's what's happening in the music rooms almost always. Um, okay, so that's the timer, which is like the overlord, the meta. Um, the next part is, I'll talk about ear training first. Boom, Prezi on ear. Ear training is essentially um, learning by ear. So the way I do it is through the week, I'm listening to music. Through my days, I'm listening to music. Oh, that's cool. I dig that song. Make note of it. Next time I practice, I'm going to play that song, pause it, and then see if I can figure it out. And so for me, I do that in different ways. Like, I'm at a place where what I'm trying to train is, um, can I hear the harmonic movement? How much information can I pull out of this without touching an instrument? So I push play on the song, and I'm like, okay, this song, what instruments are playing? There's guitar, there's bass, there's a synthesizer, there's the drums. Okay, what time signature is this in? This song's going. Oh, it's a polka. This song's in 3/4. Okay, cool. And what is the harmonic movement? Like, okay, it's in a minor key, and it's going. Okay, that's like it sounds like a one, minor one to a minor four. And again, this is how I'm working with it at my level. So I'm writing down all this stuff, and then I actually get my instrument out and I double check it. Like, was I right? And I try and guess the key too. Like, okay, in my voice, it's a mm, mm. The lowest note I can sing is usually a G, so I think this song is in a B flat, that kind of thing, because that's a minor third above that lowest note. Um, so that's where I'm ear training. Um, I'm thinking back to when I was a teenager and my ears weren't as developed. I hadn't spent a lot of time doing this, and it was more like, oh, there's a riff on guitar that I like. Okay, can I figure out that riff? Like, um, let's take this one here, because this is one of the earliest ones I figured out. So I listen to it, pause. Oh, yeah, that sounds like it. And actually, that song is tuned down half a step. I probably didn't actually figure that out by ear, let's be real. There's no way I would have been like, what is that? Maybe I got to tune my guitar down. I wouldn't have thought of that. Anyway, that's an aside. So that's your training. And your training can be, oh, there's a solo that I really love, or it could be a vocal part that you're hearing, and like, how do I play that? I saw this video of John Mayer um, learning Celine Dion vocal licks on his guitar. That was his ear training. Super cool. And that is not easy. I mean, John Mayer is hearing a lick on a different instrument and transferring it over to your own, to whatever it is that you're playing. And then so the last one is improv, practicing improv technique. There's all kinds of different improv technique that's instrument specific, and then there's like general improv technique. I'll talk about a improv technique specific to guitar, let's say. So let's say in my technique part, I'm practicing scales. This is a very obvious one. Most guitar players get into this pretty early. Practicing scales, and now I'm going to get a backing track or make a loop with my loop pedal, and I'm going to practice soloing using that scale. So I'm using my ears to be like, that note sounds good there, and that note sounds good there, that kind of thing. So there's an improv technique that I'm practicing. Um, Another improv technique, this one is for piano, is I've got a piece that I've learned on piano that I can play well. And there's this one section that I just love what's happening. I think it's so good. Okay, so now I zoom into that section. Let's say it's a 2-bar section, and I start pulling it apart. What is the left hand doing? Okay, I'm going to take the left hand and play it on its own. Oh, that actually sounds pretty cool on its own. Now I'm going to like bring in my own right hand part. What if I just played one note over this right hand? What note fits? Or over this left hand? Okay, now what if I do a new note? Great, now I'm improvising. I'm bringing in my own stuff. So again, these are like building blocks that we practice. There's this idea of like, I should just be able to do it already. The people who can just do it have put in a lot of practice. I mean, there's some people who pick something up and then, like a little kid, I hear this all the time. Never seen this instrument before, and he just picked it up and he made music on it. Great, that's his baseline, that's his starting level. And now he has to practice if he wants to get better. There's my system, there's my approach. It's been a kind of like a life mission of mine to create an approach to practice that actually serves the goals that I want it to. And when I say that, I don't just mean the external goals, which is every system of practice that I've ever seen is just serving the external goals of like, I could play my scale this fast, now I can play it faster or whatever. I wanted to learn how to play this song, and now I can play this song. External goals, great. That's what they measure in a university, at school, whatever. That might be what impresses people, da da da. But then the internal goals, which to me have always been more important, is am I enjoying myself? Do I like love life more after practicing this? That's what I've been working on developing, because I haven't seen that approach taught or reflected anywhere or acknowledged even. Anyway, that's my approach. I'm open for business right now. I'm loving teaching, so if you want to even like have like a couple of lessons to develop your system, that you can just run with. Like I'm not taking lessons from anybody right now because I've got my system developed, and then I just plug stuff into it all the time. There's a guy on YouTube who's really great at teaching guitar technique. Great. He's my teacher for one little part of technique practice. There's another guy on YouTube that I love who just opens my mind about music theory all the time. Great. He's part of where I get inspiration for what I practice about theory. But this kind of like meta system, like an overseer for organizing, that takes into account wanting to get better and like being a human and having an inner critic and like having a history and fantasy and desire and all that stuff. A system that acknowledges and holds and makes space for all that is I think awesome, and that's why I'm out here talking about it. Okay, if you made it this far, kudos to you. I hope you had some food or something like that to enjoy this. Okay, bye for now.